Productions. Our team, just what like I think we've said this before, but we'll make sure to share out the slides and the recordings from the Temporary Workers Bill of Rights presentation next week through the Care Grant Digest. So if you missed any information, we'll make sure to share that out with you next week. Next, we're going to head into our breakout spaces. So for returning organizations, we're going to do things a little differently this year than we have in previous years during quarterly meetings. We have we have significantly more organizations in the program this year. The program has grown rapidly year over year, which is really exciting. But we probably have one too many organizations to dedicate the same amount of time that we have previously to this exercise. So previously, we would give organizations um, time, about 4 or 5 minutes, to talk about their organization, their outreach strategies, any community voices that they hear, and the challenges and experience of the community members that they're working with, and just have like a little bit of a brief Q&A with the organization. Unfortunately, we're up, not unfortunately, like for exciting reasons, we're up to 24 organizations. So I just don't think we have the time to give every single organization an opportunity to talk about themselves. So we're going to do this through breakout sessions this year. We want to make sure we have every effort to hear from each other, and we're going to do our best at the quarterly meetings when we have these breakout sessions to make sure that you're assigned with new organizations each time. So in a second, we're going to open the breakout spaces. I'll ask that each of you just take a couple of minutes to introduce yourself, your role, introduce your organization and your collaborative's mission, talk about some of your key outreach and engagement strategies that you're doing through the Care Grant program, and then any stories or experiences you have from your community members about accessing Department of Labor's programs or any government programs in general. Like, what are the challenges the people that you're working with often face? Um, and like what are their lived experiences too. And then, of course, obviously, like any questions that you have for your fellow grantees, feel free to treat it as an open space to have dialogue with one another. We try to carve out this space every time going forward in quarterly meetings. We've heard feedback that you all really appreciate time to talk to one another, just to hear about their experience with the Career Grant program. Ask each other any questions that they have, see areas where you can build partnership with one another. So we're going to try to make sure that we carve out this space every quarterly meeting for you. So we'll have about 15 minutes for the breakouts. And when we return, I may ask you all just to share some feedback. Nothing too formal. Don't feel like you need to rush and write down detailed notes about your conversation or like assign a note taker or somebody to like speak. We just want to hear like if there's anything that like sparked during your conversation that you want to share out with the full group. Maybe it's a partnership that you didn't realize could be helpful through the Care Grant. Maybe it's a grantee in your area that's reaching a similar population. Maybe it's a tip that you receive from as a new grantee from a returning grantee. Anything, it'll just be sort of like a casual, informal share out from the space. Um, there are a handful of people on this call as well that are from the New Jersey Department of Labor. So I will just ask them if they're in a breakout space, just to take a moment to just also introduce yourself and your role at the New Jersey Department of Labor. I think it's just, again, a way for us all to build connection with one another and see ways in which our work overlaps. So yeah, I think with that, I'm going to ask Lance to sort of open the breakout spaces and I would assign 15 minutes to the breakouts, Lance. So I think you should all be receiving a pop-up in a second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then I think you can all head to the breakouts. So thank you. Great. I think people are still coming back from the breakout session, so we'll just give it like another 10 or 15 seconds for people to join back in. Awesome. So thank you all for taking place in the breakout sessions. We hope that you find the space and opportunity to just like connect, like I said, with your fellow grantees, learn a little bit more about each other's work, both as like organizations and collaboratives broadly, and about the work that they're doing for the Care Grant program specifically. I'm just curious, if there's anything that folks want to share that you heard from folks that may have, I don't know, surprised you, that stuck with you, maybe sparked an idea or connection, something that maybe you want to learn more about, either from the Care Grant team or from your fellow grantee. Just asking just some casual share outs. Feel free to add stuff to the Care Grant team's to-do list as well. Like if there's an idea in there that you want us to start incorporating, feel free to just shout it out or put it into the chat. I see comments in the chat, although I can't really read the chat right now. So, oops, sorry. Yeah, or just come off mute, drop it in the chat.
Hugh was
Blanca, oh,
no,
go ahead.
I was gonna say Hugh was providing an insight about different outreach strategies to some our newer grantees. Hugh, would you want to reiterate that? I thought that would be helpful. I don't know if Hugh, you're still there, but or Marianella, maybe. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sorry, I'm here. Yeah, I was just saying that we do a lot of outreach because we have found that naturally we can't people don't embrace workers' rights as easily as if you're offering them free pizza or something. So we do a lot of outreach. We have community health workers, and Marinella goes out with them when they do health fairs and COVID-19, and we also do a lot of proactive calls to all the clients in our other um, um, programs, and so we call people up and say, look, this is what we're trying to do. Why don't you come to a forum and we'll talk at length about it. And so it's really all about outreach, outreach, outreach.
Great. Thank you, Hugh. I see another comment in the chat. It says, thanks to Anna New Labor for suggestions around messaging that resonates with her community, and looking forward to connecting more about bringing workers from across multilingual boundaries to talk to each other about their experiences and needs. Wonderful. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more too about like sort of like multilingual outreach later in this presentation, a little bit today about the department's language access work as well. So that's great to hear. Kim, I think Kim, you were going to share something too.
Oh, I was just going to say that ask Blanca if she can come and share. She said she would share about what we did in our group. Blanca, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, in our group, we spoke about on what our organization, on what we do in our organization. We do a lot of outreach on a monthly basis. We usually have about 20 to 25 events every month. We attend food pantries, we attend senior events, community health fairs, resource fairs, as well as, we host and we also attend events. So I was saying that to Keen that what we do is just to give the information out to the community. Sometimes when we go to the food pantries, they stop at our table and they just want to look at our flyers that we give out from the NJDOL. And sometimes they have questions in regards to what are they entitled to, or what are their rights. And sometimes they don't want to be bothered because they just want to get the information and leave because they have kids and they just don't have enough time to speak. But we give them the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Blanca.
Yeah,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. That's great.
Yes. And also everyone else was able to share different ways in which they share information and services within their organizations as well. So they were able to take some takeaways and share some best practices there as well. And one of the things I learned is with churches, sometimes churches will allow you to speak. And I believe Ashley shared this with us, and or they'll let you set up a table. So that was good information because I didn't know they let you set up a table. So
Yes.
that was a good something that stuck with me just in listening.
Yeah, they usually do that to set up an informational table. It's like when they're doing food pantries too. And like I mentioned to our group that we also put the flyers, that pamphlet, also in our health centers to be given to our patients.
Great. Great. And then I think we have maybe time for one more. I see Sarah dropped in the chat about the conversation about reaching workers versus reaching employers. If there's anything, you or your group wanted to share about like what how the conversation went.
Hi, yeah, I just thought it was interesting to hear from the EANJ because we really focus on reaching the workers directly. So it's just an interesting to hear about that angle and the work that they do. I really enjoyed that.
Great.
I don't know if Robin wants to chime in, but
Sorry, I was muted.
That's okay.
Yes, yeah, it's good to reach out and work together. So looking forward to connecting with Sarah and doing some training in Ocean County.
That's amazing. We love to hear those connections. And if there's any group that you all would like to connect with on the call, when your fellow grantee cohort, please, and you don't have their information or you want the Care Grant team to facilitate that connection for you, like feel free to reach out. We've done it before. We're happy to continue doing that going forward, and make those connections for you all. So thank you. And we'll continue to, like I said, carve out space in each of our meeting for time for you all to have an opportunity to talk with one another and share information and experiences. And I'll just ask that you all please complete the survey. I know I say that all the time, but it really does help us come up with an agenda that we feel is helps support you all to do successful outreach work. And we use those survey results to help inform the agenda and, help shape this meeting space for you all. So if you have ideas about how we should do things or how this space can be used better, like please feel free to just drop that in the survey we'll share at the end of the meeting. So thank you. Okay. Next, we're going to go into grant management. So we'll cover some important topics so that you have time to so that you have all the information you need to continue to be successful and implementing and carrying out your outreach work. So we're going to cover some information about the program reports. I know many of you have already submitted it for quarter 1, but there's a lot of new organizations on the call. So I just wanted to go over the various sections of the program report so that everybody's on the same page with what kind of information needs to be submitted and reported. Next, I will hand it over to Caroline, who will cover some information about budgets, deliverables, and contracts. I think most, if not all, organizations have finalized their deliverables and work plans, and we're now in the process of getting contracts executed on the Department of Labor side. So I think Caroline has some more information to share with you all. Next, we'll cover some of our outreach materials. So I know, the first couple of months of the Care Grant program is very heavy on the trainings and orientations. So we've had 4 trainings now on the various programs that you all are doing outreach on. So we're now exiting the training phase and entering into the outreach phase of this program. So I just want to take some time to cover the materials that are available to you all so that you can do your outreach work successfully. We'll cover information about how to do print orders. Again, the Department of Labor covers the cost of printing materials and shipping them to you. So we'll cover the details on how to place those orders again. We'll talk a little bit about our language access work. So we're sort of expanding the department's work on language access, and I have some important information to share with you all. And then we'll cover some important dates and reminders as well for the program. And again, I've said it before, just drop questions in the chat. We'll do Q&A at the end, and I'll make sure to address them. Okay, first, program reports. As I said, many of you already completed the first program report. Thank you for those who have already done so. But if you're having trouble accessing or understanding the format of the report, or just have any questions in general about how reporting works, please just feel free to reach out to the Care Grant team. We are here to help support you. And just a reminder, and I'm going to go through each section individually, that there are 5 sections to the quarterly program reports. There is a worker outreach section, so this includes any of your in-person promotional activities like tabling and canvassing, or educational activities such as doing webinars or phone calls to reach your community members. And it also includes any sort of like technical assistance work, such as supporting people with application processes or helping them file complaints. The next section is community partners and employers section of outreach. So this includes the same information in the category above for workers, but just is oriented towards the community partners and employers that you are doing outreach to. Again, we're just asking you to cover, the number of people you're reaching through in-person promotional activities like tabling, like conducting webinars and maybe phone banking, or providing any sort of like technical assistance. But it's just, again, oriented more towards the community partners, service providers, employers that you're doing outreach with. The third page of the report, the third section, is social media, mass advertising, and mass messaging. So this page will be for your digital and media-based outreach. And we, understand that this might be a little difficult to track, especially if you're doing paid media and you're paying a local sort of in-language resource, a media outlet, to do sort of promotion on the programs. So we just ask you to do your best to estimate sort of the number of folks that you're reaching through any sort of like social media, mass advertising, or mass messaging outreach. The next section is outreach and events, events and staff training. So this page is to track the number of events and the number of staff who have attended a training in the past quarter. So many of you have identified a certain number of events to hold or attend throughout the Care Grant cycle, in addition to, workers and employees reached. So this data point just gives us another metric to help track the great progress that you're making throughout the year. So we just ask that you just keep track of the number of events that you are attending or organizing throughout the Care Grant cycle. And then finally, there is a narrative question section. So similar to previous years, there's a 7 or 8 question narrative section that just asks you to upload in a Word document, just to provide a little bit more context to the data that you're sharing on the number of people that you're reaching. But it's also just important to note that you will inevitably have sections of the program report that will be blank, and that is perfectly fine. We have to design a report to meet all the needs of the grantees' individual work plans. And as you know, you all get to design and tell us what kind of outreach tactics make sense for your communities. So we have folks who are doing, more employer-based outreach. We have folks that are doing more tabling in communities. We have folks who are doing more training of their staff and service providers. So not everybody's doing all outreach tactics, and we understand that. So if there's whole sections of your report that are blank, that is perfectly fine, and we anticipate that. Okay, so now I'm going to hand it over to Caroline to cover some important information about budgets and contracts. You're on mute, Caroline.
Sorry, David, thanks.
It's okay.
So hello, everyone. I'm sure you are all anxiously awaiting news on what is the status of your contract agreements. They are at last all 24 in executive review, completing their fiscal review right now. At that point, they'll move on to a few more levels of review. And fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed. Hopefully we will have some good news for you next week onto the status of the actual Care Grant approvals. If you do need to see your contract or see any of the documents, you should be able to go into Sage right now and scroll down to the contract tab. If you are not seeing the contract tab and just need those documents for whatever reason, just please send me an email and I can help you with that. Sometimes Sage does kind of lock you out of that while it is going through our formal review process. Okay, we can go on to the next slide. Okay, now at this point, because we have the contracts in signing, you can actually initiate your June expense report. So you can go into Sage at this point, scroll down to the reporting tab and initiate that June report. Make sure it is the June report, very important. All expense reports have to be created in order. If you've created them out of order, I will have to delete them and have you start over, unfortunately, because Sage recognizes the numbers. So if they go out of report, it's going to throw off your calculations in subsequent reports. I did have someone reach out to me that, well, we didn't have any expenses in June. Do we still have to submit a report? Yes, you do. You do have the option of, when you're completing that June report, when you submit it to us, you're just going to check the zero expenses tabulation after you've gone through the report itself. And you can just put, when you change the status to return that report to us, just say, we don't have any expenses at this time. That's all we need. But especially our old returning grantees, your old pros at that, you'll know exactly how to submit those June expense reports. For our newer grantees, if you have any questions, please reach out to me and I'm happy to walk you through that first expense report. I would also say, new grantees, if your fiscal person is not on this call today, please let them know that they can initiate that June expense report. We do include all that information in our Care Grant Weekly Digest, which I know everybody is so excited to get every week and reads right through it. But we did put that information that you can initiate that report. So as soon as the contracts are signed, I can start moving those reports ahead, so then you can create your subsequent July, August, September, et cetera reports, so we can get you caught up for all the work that you've been doing. As you know, we are in our first quarter meeting, so we want to get you up to date on everything. Okay. I think that's all I have for that. Do I have another slide, David, or is that
You do
it?
not. I think that was it. So
Okay, so
if you
get
have
those
nothing else to
reports in.
share, I can take back over.
That's it. Everybody get those reports in. Thank you.
And if you have any questions, like I said, just use the chat function. We'll have time at the end for Q&A. So, and our team hangs out, as you know, at the end of meetings to help provide support. Okay. Outreach materials. So now that, as I mentioned, we've concluded, what is like the training phase of the Care Grant program. Many of you, especially the new grantees of the program, are really going to start ramping up your outreach work. So our team is here to be a soundboard on your strategy, to get feedback on how things are going, help you get approval on any outreach materials, help you understand what we have available to you to help support your outreach initiatives. And again, I've said this before when we had our meetings during the revision phase, but if you are experiencing troubles or you're noticing things aren't going the way you had planned with your outreach activities, please reach out to us. Please reach out to our team and we could talk through what what modifications of your work plan looks like for the grant cycle year. So we have a process in place. Like, we know that you're going to be doing outreach. We know that you may notice outreach tactics may no longer make sense once you start engaging in them, or that you're finding it's more effective to go a different way. We have a process in place to go about doing modifications, and you should feel free to reach out to our team to go about that process if that's something you're noticing. But doing that sooner rather than later is always better. Okay, so I just wanted to cover some of the materials that we have. We have a multitude of handouts, all of which are listed on the print order request form and on the Care Grant website. We have materials available for the Paid Family and Medical Leave Program. So that's TDI-FLI, the Earned Sick Leave laws, the unemployment insurance programs, and work rights as well. And as we pointed out earlier today, for the Temporary Workers Bill of Rights as well. Most of the materials are available in English and Spanish, and most of the materials covering the basics of the program are available in multiple languages. And again, the print order form has all of the translated materials, and our team routinely updates that document as new translations become available. The form is sent out in the weekly digest. When new materials are added, we generally share out an updated print form through the digest as well. If you need If you need to price an order, just let us know and we can send you that print order form, but we'll also make sure to send that out next week through the digest. In terms of like creating your own materials, you do have the ability to create your own materials. It's highly recommended that you utilize existing New Jersey Department of Language, either through the slideshows that we share out or that is on our website, as it avoids needing to go through an internal review process here. So if you're modifying New Jersey Department of Language, New Jersey Department of Labor language, or creating new language, or if you want to use the Care Grant logo, those for your outreach materials, and in any of those cases, it needs to go through an internal review here from the Care Grant team to get approval to use those materials and to use Care Grant funds to pay for the creation and dissemination of those materials. So just please reach out to our team ASAP if you are planning on creating a material so that we can put it on our like schedule of things to review. As I mentioned, there's 24 organizations now, so we're getting more and more of these requests to review materials. So the earlier you let us know that you're going to be creating some kind of handout or some kind of unique handout without Department of Labor language, or you want to use our logo on a use the Care Grant logo on a piece of outreach materials, the sooner you let us know, the quicker we can get that back to you once it's ready for our review and approval. And again, we've shared out guidelines on the full process for reviewing materials, and we can make sure we share that out after the meeting as well. Okay. So as I mentioned, we have materials available for you free of charge. Our print shop will mail them to your office. I ask that you submit the print order form by the first Friday of each month, and we encourage you to submit requests for several months worth of materials at a time. We submit one order to the print shop for all grantees, and it's just easier for the print shop to manage and our team to manage if we sort of combine everybody into one order per month. So that is why we ask you all to send us your requests by the first Friday of each month, is because we have to place them in one bulk order for the entire program. So just please plan ahead when submitting your print orders, as they can take some time to process. We're combining 24 organizations' print orders, which then need to be separated into separate packages and mailed out to organizations. When submitting your print order form spreadsheet, please do not use a PO box as a mailing address. So our print shop uses FedEx, and FedEx cannot deliver to PO boxes. So please make sure your mailing address is a physical office, a physical building. And then it's also important to know that there is a 100-copy minimum for any outreach materials you request. So just keep that in mind when you're filling out the form, that just a minimum is like 100 copies for each individual document that you're requesting. All right.
What's the maximum?
Sorry, who was that? I heard a question.
No, I asked, what's the maximum?
The maximum, I'm not sure. We haven't actually encountered that situation just yet. So I would have to ask our print shop what is the maximum that they can ship out to folks. Lance, do you have like a sense of what's like one of the biggest orders we've ever shipped out?
For like an individual grantee, probably
Yeah.
like 3,000 or 4,000 copies or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually every time we ask them,
Really?
they say the more the better. So
So I mean, we can find
Okay,
out.
that's good.
Yeah. But
No, that's
yeah,
good. That covers what we want to do.
okay, great. Yeah, and they've asked us to like share the tip of like, think about what you need for several months so that we can place it in bulk. And so I think they can handle, like Lance said, a several thousand copy order. Okay. So I've mentioned a couple times throughout the presentation that I wanted to talk to you all about our language access work in our office and the department. As you know, one of the goals of the Care Grant program is to increase the ability to share information on important worker benefits and protections with communities in their languages. We know that 1 in 4 New Jersey households speak a language other than English at home. And we also know that nearly a third of New Jerseyans age 5 and older speak a language other than English. These stats are from the Census American Community Survey. So to support this goal, our office has been working alongside many of you on this call to develop outreach materials in different languages. So I just wanted to say thank you all who have participated over the last 2-3 years in helping us review materials that we get translated through our procurement process to ensure that they are like accurate and understandable to the community members that you're serving. But to better support our department's efforts around language access, our office recently hired a language access manager. So on the call today, we have Quinny Collins, and I will just let her introduce herself for a minute so you all don't have to listen to me keep talking. So Quinny, do you want to come off mute and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, David, for this. And I thank you all for joining and being here. My name is Queenie Collins. I recently graduated from Rutgers University with my master's in political science. I worked for the New Jersey General Assembly for about 2 years as a director of constituent affairs, where I have worked and served 7 municipalities in Middlesex County. As a graduate student and also a Equalton graduate fellow, I interned at the Department of Human Service, where I assist the Office of New Americans with compliance of the New Jersey Department of Human Service Language Access Plan. Before deciding, graduate school as a next step, I worked closely with UN agency and NGOs to organize community-specific programs and projects on the continent. I'm really optimistic right now, especially working for one of the best departments, and to find myself in the Office of Strategic Outreach and Partnership, where we strive to not only bridge languages, but to also bridge cultures and to ensure that all residents can easily access services and resources. So thank you so much, and I look forward to working with each one of you.
Thank you, Quinny. We're really
Thank
excited
you.
to have you on our team. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to reshare my slides. All right. Great. So yeah, among the projects that Quinny is going to be working on and our team is going to be working on is to help support the language access needs of you all in the Care Grant program. So she will be working alongside our procurement and communications office, alongside myself, Lance, Rebecca, Caroline, to ensure that the key outreach materials that you need are translated into the languages to serve your communities. So I imagine you're going to be hearing more and more from our team and Quinny specifically about what kinds of materials you need and in which languages would be helpful to have them in. And additionally, you might be aware that there is a new legislative mandate requiring state agencies to make vital documents available in the 7 most common non-English languages spoken in the state. So Quinny and our team will be working to develop an implementation plan for the department that ensures that we are in compliance with the law and that language access is done both successfully and sustainably here at the department. So Quinny is freshly on our team. She's been here for 2 weeks and she's already jumped right into it. And I hope to have a more complete update for you all later in the Care Grant cycle, but you'll definitely be hearing from us more and more as the months go on about your language access needs and asking you to play a supportive role and possibly reviewing any materials that we get translated. And just a reminder that any work you do around reviewing and commenting on translated materials is a billable activity under the Care Grant. So just keep that in mind as we go through the grant cycle. And then finally, there is, I keep mentioning the survey that we share at the end. We are adding a question to the survey this time around your language access needs as it relates to the Care Grant. So we really strongly encourage you to complete the survey as it's going to help our team understand your needs, both the types of documents you need and the languages you need them in, as we work to develop our priority list. So again, just really encourage you to complete the survey, especially with this language access question. If you have needs around materials translated into other languages, Quinny and I and the rest of the team are going to be making a priority list over the next couple of weeks of documents and then working with our procurement and communications team to get those translated and laid out for you all. So look for that in that survey. Okay, so just some important dates and reminders as we're wrapping up the presentation today. Q1 expense reports and activity reports are due. So if you have any questions or need any support there, please reach out to Lance or Caroline. We will be having an optional repeat training on work rights and earned sick leave in Spanish on October 24th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. I know we didn't offer the last training we did in Spanish, and many of you expressed a need to have this training in Spanish for your staff that are helping you with care grant outreach, or any sort of volunteers in your programs that are helping you with outreach. So we will be doing the work rights and earned sick leave training with simultaneous interpretation. It will be a repeat training. It is the same content we covered a few weeks ago, so it's not required. It is optional, but we wanted to make that available to you all. The Q2 meeting will be on December 11th from 10 a.m. to probably about 4 p.m. And it will be in person here in Trenton. We'll have more details about that in the coming weeks, and we will share that out through the digest. But just wanted to put that on everybody's radar that we are going to now start making a habit of doing our second quarterly meeting. We've done it last year in person. We think it's a really good opportunity for everybody to, again, learn about each other's work, but also for you all to learn about the different ways the Department of Labor is going about doing modernization, and for you all to get an opportunity to meet many of the people in our divisions and program areas who are administering the programs and enforcing the laws that you're doing outreach on. So we really do see it as an opportunity for you all to build those connections here at the Department of Labor. And a big theme of the day will be around that. Next, we have site visits. So Lance will be reaching out probably next week to the new grantees to schedule site visits. We are requiring site visits for new grantees this year. We just find it is very helpful to meet with new grantees in person on site to understand the work they're doing and have a sort of conversation and provide support. So we always learn a lot of information. They always go very positively when we have site visits. So we're going to prioritize reaching out to the new grantees for site visits earlier and getting on those on the calendar, and then we will reach out to the returning grantees probably in the new year to schedule site visits. So just wanted to give everybody an update on that. And then finally, we've been working with a couple organizations so far about scheduling listening sessions with their community members. So we're trying to get listening sessions, about 3 or 4 of them scheduled this grant cycle, that connect folks here at the Department of Labor directly with community members who are impacted by trying to access either unemployment insurance, paid family medical leave, or have experienced work rights violations on the various laws. We want to continue to facilitate and build those connections between the department and communities with lived experiences directly. If you are interested in working with our team and doing one of those, please reach out. Like I said, we're working with 2 organizations already. I think we would like to get maybe 1 or 2 more on the calendar. So if this sounds interesting to you, please reach out. And we're trying to cover multiple sort of focus populations and multiple programs. So yeah, if you're interested, like I said, just reach out and express that, and we can see what is possible. And then finally, just a reminder that the New Jersey Department of Labor, we have our social media accounts. A campaign was recently launched to raise awareness of workplace rights across the state of New Jersey in recognition of Labor Day. So this was the myworkrights.nj.gov campaign, and it's focused on educating the public about their paid leave, earned sick leave, minimum wage, overtime pay, worker misclassification, and more. Outreach is happening through social media, news outlets, neighborhood billboards, transportation hubs, and it's with the goal of helping the campaign reach New Jersey's state workers and growing workforce. A number of you have social media and digital outreach as a part of your care grant work plan. So I'm just sharing this information so that you can think about maybe leveraging the department's social media graphics and posts to help support those efforts that you're doing around digital and social media outreach. So on the slide, you'll see we have our Twitter handle, our Facebook link, and our Instagram handle. And again, we'll share this out through the weekly digest, and this will have the links that are clickable to our social media accounts. And you should just feel free to sort of use the graphics or share any of our posts that you see on social media as well. Okay, so yeah, thank you again for taking time to meet. As I said at the top, we understand there's a lot of administrative pieces and a lot of training that happens in the first quarter. So we're deeply appreciative of you making the time today. So with the remaining time, our team is going to hang out and answer any questions that you have or address any concerns. As I said, we have the survey, which I'm going to drop in the chat right now for you to complete, including that piece about any sort of translations that you need. Let me actually stop sharing my screen. One second, that is not the list. But if there are questions, yeah, just feel free to come off mute and ask them, or you can use the chat. And again, there's that survey that I mentioned. And if you don't have any questions, it was great to see everybody's faces again. I'm going to look forward to seeing everybody at the second quarterly meeting. And like I said, just reach out to any Care Grant team member if you have a question. Even if it's not the right person, we'll just make sure it gets to the right person. So thank you all. And yeah, our team is going to hang out if there's questions.